Okay, we will call the meeting to order. And would you read the roll call, please, Carolyn?
Welch.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Stan Anderson.
Here.
Houston.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Hawk. Mike Henry.
Here.
You have a form.
Okay, thank you. Let's stand and say the pledge of allegiance. Kelly, would you please? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any order of business for emergencies?
We do not.
Okay, and is anyone attending on Zoom?
No.
Okay. I would call for a motion then to approve the agenda.
So second.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, agenda approved. Okay, looking at the consent agenda, which includes the minutes, the claims, the budget report, including community center report, golf course sales tax, money market balance, and the minutes from the planning and zoning. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So then, Carolyn, do we need to address either of those billing permits individually?
No, because they are under the amount of $5,000, Garrett can just approve them.
Okay. All right, moving right on then. Dana from KLJ, would you like to tell us your
Sure.
good news
Thanks
today?
for having me. First, I want to start out with introducing Tim Hartman. He's a new staff member of ours. He'll be helping me with project management of municipal type projects and clients. So that includes City of Walls. That's why he's here tonight. So there could be definitely times where he would be at a council meeting rather than myself. So that's his introduction, and he helped me put this packet together tonight as well. So.
Good to have you here.
Nice to meet you all, thank you. So first off, I just made a list of the ongoing projects that we have. First up, Echo Valley subdivision phase 1. The mayor and I have been working through kind of the latest with South Dakota housing and options and different things like that. And they mentioned that funding is no longer even available through South Dakota housing. So the mayor and I discussed of trying to push Echo Valley phase 1 ahead and look at bidding it this fall with construction in 2023. Phase 1 is really how we finaled up, we left that project as finaled up, and that's what's been submitted to the state for approvals to the state DNR. So next step is really to bid it, so we'll just move forward with that. If I don't know,
So when will the bid be? When will it be planned?
we can bid this fall, so if we're looking at, say, 3 weeks of bidding, probably sometime in November. We don't really have that bid date, so towards the end of November is probably a good time.
And we've approved that task order.
Yes,
Yes.
you've approved our task order to do that, and construction staking, I think was the other material testing, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we're ready to move ahead.
Yep.
Any questions on that project? Next up, industrial park development and industrial park lift station. We're waiting on shipment of pumps. We've heard now first part of November for that shipping, and that's really shipping from the factory to the pump supplier here in Watertown. So that that's been pushed back 3 times already, so we'll see. We're also working with staff on taking the lift station, and actually doing a replat and breaking that out as its own separate lot, so nobody has to have that as an easement or anything, so we're kind of working through that right now. Any questions on that project? Okay. 4th Avenue reconstruction, design is ongoing, but it looks like we have state approval to push that construction into 2024 rather than 2023. Carolyn inquired last week about something in writing from the state regarding that extension, but so far they've given us two verbal okays on it. Any questions on that?
So when they extend it, then we're good till end of 2023, basically.
It would be, right now it is, they'd give us another year. Yes, so it'd be. It'll be 2024, yeah, we'll extend it a full year.
Yeah, 2024.
Yeah, I think it was 23 before, so. Up next is Hanson subdivision, utility portion, so we received one bid proposal from TDM, Todd Sealer, and I have that in the rest of your packet, where we looked at his numbers and they look adequate, and he's a qualified contractor. So based on that, our recommendation is to move ahead with award of that project to them, TDM. The number breakdown is the next sheet as well, if you're interested in the numbers. But the engineer's estimate is 120,915, so he's actually below our estimate.
Okay, so do we move ahead with an approval for that right now or later?
I would say to get a
Right.
motion now while you're on it. So you
Okay.
can get-
So reviewing the document that KLJ provided for us on the analysis, as well as the estimate, would I have a motion to approve to move ahead on the phase 1 utilities of the Hanson subdivision, which is the extension of Kelly Avenue?
Move to approve.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve. Is there a second? Okay, Rick has moved, Jerry has seconded. Is there any further discussion or questions?
Has Todd indicated if there was any holdup on any of the supplies or anything like that, or are they pretty much good?
He's able to get most everything right away, just they're pretty small quantity.
Yeah.
And he hasn't given me his actual schedule, but he's indicated he's gonna want to start right away within the next few weeks or so. After award, we'll have to do a contract with them, and he has to provide bonding, so that takes about a week or so to get, so it'll be at least a week or two.
Very good.
Yeah, he's pretty excited to get started.
That's great.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Finally, the 2021 street improvement projects, we had, I think 3 or 4, maybe 5 items on the closeout punch list. We were still working through with the contractor on trying to get them back to address things like sprinklers and topsoil, curb and gutter that on water here and there. There's some curb and gutter that's chipped away at a few places. The concrete subcontractor was here today, and we worked with them on grinding 2 different areas. They appear to have those fixed, so they drain. There's another area that it just doesn't appear like they're gonna be able to make that area flow water real well. And it's a street doesn't have much grade to begin with. It's Sixth Street. And that's the area where there's some chips in the concrete in the curb and gutter as well. And I think at this point, I think we're better off trying to just do a deduction of those areas that are not 100% what we want, but at the same time, I think if we go in there and try to have them do more repairs, it's just gonna either create things that don't drain over there and just maybe create other issues that, I guess my recommendation is propose a deduction that would close the project and be done. So everybody can just be done with it, is the idea. I spoke to Stan and Rick and Garrett a little bit about that already, and
Stan or Rick, what was your,
I would agree 100% with them that we
I think I'm gonna,
close it out and
I
try to
think
get as
that,
much money as we can deduct it.
I think it's a smart move.
so they're gonna redo anything on Seventh and stretch or go down the street or?
they ground that again.
Okay.
They put a bucket of water on it. Do you wanna just double check that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. It looks like it should work
Okay.
better, for sure, so.
So do you know, you have calculated exactly how much money we're talking about?
I don't, no, so I'll have to kind of look at their price, so say curb and gutter, it's some curb and gutter. And then it's also they got some cracks and some sidewalk and different stuff too, that I think we should deduct a little bit there too.
So aren't they kind of past their timelines? There should be some fines.
And we have fines, yep, I mean, it's, Linda, you expressed your frustration with, it's inadequate topsoil that they put, it's not even really topsoil, it's just dirt that they put in her yard. We've repeatedly asked for that to be taken care of. You know, so that, and they really, up to this point, they haven't fully completed the punch list, so. But Garrett, you and I have to discuss about the topsoil issue and, so. Right now, it's just, we're not really getting a response out of the contractor, or the response we want, for sure.
Do you ever get a hold of anybody, Kelsey?
Yeah, they're supposed to come this weekend, so I think I would move on to someone else as well.
Cause like her sprinklers, they've yet to fix her sprinklers. And they told her just to go ahead and hire a company to fix them, you know, and we can deduct the bill off of that. So we'll have to kind of work all that. into
Yeah,
this
I
one.
moved dirt too.
Yeah, and yeah, the topsoil really wasn't topsoil at all, it was rocks and poor material to begin with, so.
so could Linda do the same thing, get a landscaper or whatever type of person she needs to address her?
Well, they took out black dirt, brought back gravel.
Okay,
So and the grass they planted in there will not grow. It's weeds, it's not decent grass. So I want the gravel gone, I want the black dirt back, because nothing's gonna grow in there.
We pretty much have probably three options. We can keep trying to have the contractor do it, which doesn't seem to be working, or we can try to hire somebody different, just deduct that invoice, or I don't know, staff would even want to take something like that on. But
And what did you say? At this point, we're holding back about 40,000-50,000.
I think it's about 42,000, so I'd have to look. But, yeah. So it's a pretty substantial amount. But I need to work back through that entire last pay estimate, all the fines and these things we need to deduct and get all that squared away, and then the deduct of the curb and gutter if we want to do that as well, so.
okay. So are you familiar with a landscaper that could come in and do that for you, Linda?
I've tried to call landscapers for something else. Nobody from Rapid City wants to come out,
Okay,
and I haven't found anybody any closer.
I can make a couple calls, see if I can get some of the contacts I have to see if they're interested in
Okay. All right,
taking a look, so. But again, I think the main thing is trying to get this thing final is the big thing, so.
okay. Garrett, do you have any other comments or concerns?
No, I think as long as we get done what we talked about, they're gonna grab those few spots.
Yeah.
Did you, ask about like a guarantee on that, maybe if something comes up again, or?
Well, and we can either do, well, yeah, would you like an extra guarantee on some of that stuff?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
yeah, let's do that.
Because I mean, it changed from this spring to this, the summer, and more of what we actually looked at to start with. So.
So I think what Garrett's asking is, do an extended warranty on some of those areas that they're gonna have to patch, and, it's those areas where it's sort of chipping away, and I think that's fair. I think we asked for a deduct and extended warranty on it, so, just to make sure it doesn't get any worse in there. Those areas that are chipping out, they're gonna do like a high strength grout with, an adhesive to it. So, try to get it patched up.
Okay. So do we need to accept this report or anything, or that's just your plan and you're gonna get it done?
Yeah, you don't need to make a motion or anything on this. It'll be more of a action item, really on the next meeting, coming back with these deductions and stuff. The
Okay,
final payouts.
okay. Right,
So that is all I have.
any other questions of Dana then? Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank
Glad
you.
that you got to spend the day in Wall.
I did. It was nice till the sun went down and it got cold. Yeah, thanks, and, I'll be in touch. Okay.
Okay. All right, do we have any public comments at this time from members of the public with a 3-minute maximum to address concerns? Anyone with concerns today? All right. So, Dr. Pittman, would you like to give us a superintendent report? Glad to have you here.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me again. We have a lot of excitement going on at the school. Our cross-country team, both the boys and the girls teams advanced to state. There'll be 10 kids going to Huron for the state cross-country competition. The boys cross-country team hasn't been to state for almost a decade, so we're pretty proud of them. And they work pretty hard, so kudos to them.
And that's this weekend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, in Huron. Getting my weekends mixed up here, so
You go.
you check in on me once in a while. Football playoffs will be here on Thursday night, and we will be hosting every playoff game, so it's a great opportunity for this community as well as the school and the players, so congratulations to them. We're ranked first in the state, Karen?
Just by a
Oh,
little bit.
oh, it's still there. Number one's number one. Doesn't matter.
That was like point, we figured it was like 0.1 or something.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it's great, great. And volleyball, they'll be starting their regional playoff games next week. So we have a lot going on right now, especially these 2 weeks with a lot of exciting things in our fall activities. And then in the middle of it all, junior high girls basketball is gonna start. So we're doing a little juggling to get them rolling too. FFA will be starting their leadership preparation on Friday. I'll be traveling with them to Belle Fourche. They have kind of a FFA leadership type workshop for kids to learn more about their contests and things they need to know to get ready. And on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, we're gonna have a special school board meeting to look at our master plan that we've been working on for the past year. We'll have the architects available that evening for questions, and we'll see what our next step will be in the process. So feel free to join us in that board meeting. And finally, I wrote a letter, I put a letter in the, an editorial in the newspaper, this past week about the social studies standards and the CTE standards that have come out in the state. And if any of you have a chance, I'd recommend looking at them. The social studies standards have taken a different route than normal standards. CTE standards are usually worked on with educators throughout the state. The social studies standards have had only a few educators work with them, and it's found to have some lower knowledge base memorization of a lot of social studies, a decrease in economics standards, and a decrease in geography standards. And so we're encouraging business people to take a look at these standards. They've taken out some comprehension and problem solving and things we've been working on for many years. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's the employers that hiring our kids, and we want to have the best product. And I recommend that you take a look at these standards and see if those standards are going to produce the students that you want, or the employees that you want someday. So there's some, a lot of discussion going on with those standards. They only went through the first hearing, and we'll see where they go from here. So, but I do recommend, if you have a chance, I explain them deeper in the editorial, so, as well as provide the links. So, any questions about what's going on in school?
Do you think all the food establishments are aware that we'll have guests from Fort Pierre here on Thursday night and kind of be prepared for that?
I hope so.
Okay.
Because it's gonna be busy in this town, this Thursday, next Thursday, and what is it, the following Friday? Every week, we're gonna have a big crowd in here, so,
They're gonna keep winning.
yeah, we got to, yeah, I'll remind them. I think their heart is pretty set, you know, yeah, so, yes, the town will be lit up on Thursday, come join us. Thank you, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 11. Kelly.
Good evening. Well, Economic Development is requesting a consumption permit for our annual meeting. We would like to have beer and wine, and it would be a self-serve option. So that's just for our annual meeting. I think we'll just kind of set it out, like I said, have a self-serve option during our social hour from 5:30 to 6. That would be great. Thank you.
Kelly, what was the date on that?
November 16th.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, so do we have that in our packet where that's a written request, or do we? No, you don't need that, but you do need a motion for approval, is that correct?
Yes, because that's the way we did it last time. We were going to revise our ordinance to include that there'd be a form and all that, but that ordinance hasn't been fully completed, so there's no permit, so to speak, without just you guys approving at this meeting for it.
Okay, so would I have a motion to approve the request for a consumption permit for the Economic Development annual meeting? Okay, Kelly has moved.
Second.
Stan is seconded. Any further discussion?
Self-serve, so I should bring a coat with lots of pockets.
You know, our invite list seemed like a low drinking crowd. Maybe one per person.
That sounds like a BYOB deal.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the consumption permit request, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, so then that does bring us to the ordinance 2204, which is in front of you. It's the business license. And once again, it's the businesses that are affected by requiring a license, which would be daycare hair salon, short-term rental, Airbnb, and any business where revenue is collected. Also, there's terms of the license on the next page that affects the fact that any business that holds a license, liquor license, what's been added is the requirement for a $1 million liability insurance. And that has been brought into the picture because we were requiring anyone having a consumption-only permit to do the same. So that's been added, and those licenses are about to start renewing, so we do need to move along on this ordinance. It was tabled from last time. And also there would be a $25 permit fee per day. So, is anything that you need to add on that, Carolyn, or?
Well, I just wanted to bring to your attention that at the last meeting, it was kind of, what I understood is you wanted to not have limitations. So I removed the limitations. I don't know if there was anything else that you, I guess I kind of have to question if you're okay with the distance as well, because that wasn't really talked about.
That's a pretty big distance, isn't it? 100 feet, or maybe it isn't.
100 feet, no, that's
That'd
not,
be 2 lots, when we're not with, aren't our average lots 50 by 1?
That's right. That's right.
So that'd be 2 houses over, right, on both sides, am I?
about,
Depending on size of the lot, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty good. How about the 90% should be limiting?
And so you're okay with that percentage as well, or the 90%?
And it's an ordinance, so there'll be a couple of readings.
Yes, if you approve tonight, it'd be your first reading, and then,
So if it's in the paper, and if there's people read it and have concerns,
it won't get published in the paper with the first
Oh.
reading.
it does at the second reading, which would be
Second reading.
November 3rd, after the November.
but if there are
3rd meeting.
people that have come forward and want to, at the next meeting, there could be adjustments.
Yes.
Correct.
This would just get us off dead center, because I think this is the 3rd time we've looked at this same item, and I think we need to step it up a notch.
Me too.
No. That covers the people across the street, the 100 feet? I guess so, if somebody didn't come back and say.
Yeah.
It
It
should,
should.
Okay.
and it should cover the people across the alley from the property.
So you guys were saying 90% for sign off? If you had 8 people to sign off and only 1 person didn't sign on that, that'd be 87%. So 1 person could still just deny it out of the 8. Is that what you guys are shooting for? 1 person can shut it down? Everybody in the permit?
Well, we want the neighbors to be okay with it.
Well, yeah.
That's the main,
If just 1 neighbor's not okay with it, you have the 87%, so they fall under the 90, so then they wouldn't be able to get the permit.
So would you be more comfortable at 85%? Then at least 2 people would have to sign, right?
It was better than 90. But, I mean, you guys do what you want, but 60-65% seems fair majority. It does majority not seem fair?
doesn't seem fair. I mean, if you're gonna put, no, I think that's. You know, then you have 51%, so half the neighbors are unhappy about it going in there. I think that's kind of a bad deal.
Well, that's why I said 60 or 65, not 50, but the over majority.
How about 75?
And yeah, even at 75, I mean, if you got 10 people and you got 3 or 4 neighbors that aren't happy with it.
At 75, if you had 8 neighbors, if 2 didn't sign, you're right at 75. So if you have 6 signatures out of the 8, you're right at 75. That's,
I'd go along with 85, but I don't think we should go lower than that. You got
85.
that many people that are dissatisfied with having it in a residential area, then
So ultimately, one person can still shut it down though.
could I suppose.
That's all I want to know.
Could we still have the deciding factor, right? If it's only, or if it is gonna stand, that it has to be that 85%.
I think if you set those guidelines and they fill all those guidelines, you have to give it to them no matter the city. I mean, unless there's a complaint, because we do have.
We can pull if we have complaints, but getting it passed is what we're talking right now. That's why an 80 or an 85 needs to be considered. So what number do we want to put in there for our first reading? So all this is first reading, we can still change it next time.
Let's do 75, and then if that's, somebody complains about it, then we can up it. Cause even, Zach said 2 people
Oh, the 80, yeah.
out of 8. Then we're on the cusp, we can make the deciding, the decision then, if you're right at 75. I don't know, I kind of agree with Zach, I don't know if one
You know,
person should shut it down.
I think it should be higher. I think it should be at least 80. I think you're talking about putting a business in a residential, neighborhood. The neighbors should be on board. I don't think 80% is a crazy number.
If you do 80%, you might as well do 100% because you need 100% to pass it then, or to be able to do that business.
Okay, so if there's 10 neighbors,
Well, 10,
And-
yeah, and then 1, so then you'd be at 90.
at 80%, it would take, there would be 8 neighbors that approved it
Mhm.
and
Then you'd
2,
be at 80, yeah.
so,
It'd fly.
okay, so what 80, how's 80% sound? Stan?
But me,
Yeah, I think 1 is probably, able to deny it maybe a little bit much. I agree with 2, so whatever number we have to get to 2, I think is a little bit more fair.
Okay, so should we try 80%? See what kind of feedback we get. Okay, so please change those to 80% then, please, and consider this to be the first reading then.
Need a motion and a second. to approve
Okay.
first reading.
So do I have a motion to make these 80% of the neighboring properties with 100 feet? As well as the insurance changes that are here. Okay, so you move, Mike moved, Jerry second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Right.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried.
Could I know we're not at that point yet, but on the form that they fill out and they have to sign, I agree that you can have this. Can we have approved and then not approved so we can kind of know that they've asked the people, that they ask all of them in that 100
We
degree radius?
practically need a list of who the neighbors are.
Yeah, that'd be,
And that would kind of cover that, right?
yeah.
Because if somebody was approached and didn't want to sign it, they should still sign the form in the not
Yeah,
agree
they
section.
are opposed.
otherwise you
Having
could
it.
just not go to that place.
Yeah, right.
No, so,
Approved and not.
well, we should be able to figure that out, which ones are fall into that place, you know.
I'll work on that. I had kind of put something together, but of course, then there was so many changes and stuff, I just quit working on it till we got, but I can make some more tweaks to it and send it out and see.
I just wanted to mention it before I forgot, so.
Right.
All right, good suggestion. Okay, moving on then, item 13. We have an agenda policy, which is indicating that the agenda, it will not be changed. Okay, let's read this correctly. No additions will be made in the meeting agenda 48 hours preceding. And if there's a complaint that's received after that posted agenda but needs immediate attention, then the committee that best suits that particular complaint would meet and either make a decision or say that, no, it's gotta be put on the next agenda for action at the meeting. So that's our agenda policy. It was brought to our attention the last meeting. But I have, is there any one that would move to approve this agenda policy?
So moved.
Stan's moved,
Second.
Kelly seconded. Any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, item 14. Planning and zoning has recommended 2 resolutions to us. In your packet, resolution 20.
Oh, done.
Well, these 2 resolutions were taken to the planning and zoning. But if you read the minutes, the first resolution, 22-12, their recommendation was to not change that property to residential, to leave it as commercial than it is. But I still put it on the agenda so you can,
So one just leaves it as is.
yeah, if you take no action on this, then it would just stay and you just take no action on this resolution. If that's what you so wish. And that was the recommendation in the planning and zoning.
Gotcha.
Okay, so planning and zoning said leave it like it is. Do you want to take any kind of action contrary to that?
Carolyn, will you explain that last part again? That seemed to be the decisive part.
So this resolution is a proposal to rezone a piece of property from commercial to residential. But after the planning and zoning met and visited with the property owner, and they're being concerned of building a house on this type of property that doesn't have stable ground under it, their recommendation is to leave it as commercial and not rezone it residential.
I think that would be good on the council's part.
And so I would just, if that's what you guys wish, there's no motion needed, you just say, we choose to not take any
And that's
action on
what
this.
planning and zoning is recommending.
Well,
Correct.
and one thing, it's been commercial for the last 5 years, and to our knowledge, it hasn't really been an issue. And the owners of the property don't want it to be residential. And we don't think it's a good idea, less down the road, somebody build a house there, because it seems like there's a lot of debris under the surface.
But will he be allowed to build like a pole barn building or a storage shed or something, just not a residential or how?
I don't know why not.
He knows what's under there.
Sure.
Okay, do I have a consensus to take no action on resolution 2212?
Yep.
Yes?
Mhm.
Yes, Kelly? Okay, all right, moving on. Planning and zoning recommendation on resolution 2215, which is rezoning from agriculture property to residential property on the Hanson subdivision number 1, lot 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the recommendation for planning and zoning is to approve resolution 2215. Would I have a motion to do so?
Well, this, Mary, if I'm right, this would give us 7 residential lots available
Exactly,
with this. I think it's great.
okay. Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Okay, it has been moved to approve resolution 2215. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jerry has seconded. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, so now tax incentive review. Okay, so, in 2017, it was approved, to have a housing incentive established. And it also, in the resolution, was indicated that every 5 years, it would be, the policy would be reviewed. So that just happens to be 5 years from 2017 till now. Right, yeah, okay. And Stan, would you like to speak to this?
Well, when we're working on the budget, of course, we're doing a lot of things, so our budget is a little out of whack. And this was set up so that if anybody built a new house, correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers, but if I built a new house, it had to be a residential. If I built a new house in 2022, and for the first 5 years, the city portion of the taxes would be 0. For 5
It would
years.
be rebated.
Would be, yeah, you would pay it and the city would turn around and write you a check back, right, Carolyn?
Yes.
And that would amount to, I don't have those figures handy that I looked up, but like on a $300,000 house, I think it would be about $1,600, I believe. So, and a few people have used that, but since then, and at that time when we were talking about houses, the city wasn't planning on paying for all the infrastructure if there was new development. Well, since then, we've changed. In order to get some development lots available, the city is putting money up front. We're doing what we call a MOU. So that in Echo Valley, every time a lot is sold, we get reimbursed for a certain amount to help defray our costs. That by no means pays for all the infrastructure, not even close, I think. Well, it's hard to tell on Echo Valley because it's a long term, but on the first few the first lots, it would cover. Well, if we sell $30,000 lot, we get 9,000. So I forget how many lots there are.
In Echo Valley,
Echo Valley, the first
24.
24. So we'll get a fair amount of money back, but we'll never get all our money back to pay for all the infrastructure, which normally most cities don't pay for. So. And the same applies to the Gloria Street Hampson deal. We get a percentage of that back on the lots, and we're putting up not all of the money, but most of the money. So I guess we kind of talked about it in the budget. In order to kind of make our budget work, that we maybe should either take that all away and back to what it was prior to 2017, or at the very least adjust it to maybe the first year to get something off. And we are the only, in Pennington County, we're the only county that did no taxes for 5 years. I think Rapid and a few of the cities have they get maybe 30% off the first year and 20, and I don't know the numbers, but I don't know when we have to decide that, Carolyn, if we change that, but it can be done anytime, I guess.
Yeah, we can do it at any time. You know, this is just something new for the full council to be aware of. And put some thought into it. And then at the next meeting, give me direction to void the ordinance, the process that it would take to do that, and as well as the resolution.
So that's what it'd be, an ordinance to.
To eliminate that section.
Well, I would recommend we make some changes, and maybe if everybody seems agreeable that we do something, whether we do it all or not, and then leave it up to the mayor and the finance committee to come back with some sort of recommendation.
Okay, so Carolyn, just so that we don't go over the top of it, Carolyn actually put the ordinance and the resolution for discretionary formula, because there's actually two different things here. One is the housing, which, as you said, is a rebate for the property tax for 5 years. And the other one is the discretionary formula, which is for businesses. Now, you were referring to other cities in the West River. Meade County, has the same kind of a discretionary formula as we do. But Lawrence County has a 20%, 40%, 60, 80, and then the fifth year is 100% of tax. And the reasoning for that is to try to encourage businesses to come to Wall and establish their business here, build here. And some investors feel like that's almost as good as a tip. So I just wanted to make sure, what are we talking about, both? Or are we just working on housing right now and we'll address the discretionary formula at a later time? These were implemented. The business one was implemented in 2020, and the other one was implemented in 2017. So 2017 is up for review because it's 5 years, but it hasn't been 5 years for the discretionary. So I just want to make sure.
So I'm a little confused on that. Oops.
One is an ordinance 1701, followed by a resolution of 1703, and then there's a resolution 2013 where the discretionary formula was implemented.
That still has 3 years to go on that, right? I wouldn't think we'd have to move on that right now. Just
Okay,
Yeah, and I'm, like I said, I'm flexible on all of it, I just, especially the housing, I guess. Obviously, the industrial park, the city put a ton of money into that as well, but, I guess I have not realized that that would just started, so. But in that, so that replaces, I can't seem to find the ordinance.
One
The
addresses.
1701, it says that the rebate applies to single family, two family, multi-family only, but not include hotels, motels, and lodging.
so you know.
So then the discretionary one that we did in 20 just kind of replaces what,
No, it doesn't
No,
have a
it's
thing to do with housing. One is totally, business related.
yeah, but the 1701 just basically said,
Housing,
it specifically said no hotel, motel, blah.
right,
Yeah, okay.
well,
So this
and
is
that's
kind of
housing.
new, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay, so. Okay, so what is your thoughts then on housing, that you would like to give the finance committee opportunity to review that?
Well, I think they should review them both, but I would kind of agree that the discretionary one, that number one, darn, we don't really have to deal with any of it as we speak, so that we probably leave that for the 5 years, but
Okay,
that we can talk about that. And
so do we need would a consensus work for us to have the finance committee, you folks are aware that it's up for review, have the finance committee review it as they continue to work on the budget. Okay, consensus? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Can I have those back so I don't lose track of? Thank you. Okay. So moving right along
I just want to say I agree with Stan with us doing all that work out there.
on that
And
infrastructure.
Most housing developments do that themselves. So $1,600 is just a change order on a $300,000 house, so it doesn't seem like.
Was that per year or overall?
per year.
The
So
1,600.
it'd be times 5, okay.
Okay, so that moves us to item number 17, the mayor's report. Okay, Kelly, would you like to report on the library or the chamber? I think you've had both meetings.
I did have.
You've been meetings.
Yes. Okay, First, the library met last Tuesday and going over the budget and everything. The big thing that they are doing right now is having a survey done. They're wanting to do a survey of the people of Wall and surrounding that uses the library. Just to see what they can do to, what the library, if they can be enhanced for them. So, on the craft fair, they're gonna have a booth up, and then they're gonna have the survey forms there. And hopefully people will fill them out and return them so they get an idea. Plus, they want to have a table at Pancake Supper and do the same thing if Rick would allow that. To ask
What kind
him.
of table?
Just a little table to put their survey up there while people are getting their pancakes
And what's the surveys for the library?
for the library to see if, what they can do to enhance it for people.
Yeah,
Okay,
and we got plenty of room up front, so wouldn't be a problem.
okay. Shouldn't have sprung that on you, sorry.
He can handle it.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't self-serve beer and wine.
You're no fun.
That's what I was gonna say. Economic development, let's have fun.
I don't think that's good for our story time, kids.
Well, you never know.
But where the pancake supper gets about 700 people,
Yeah.
we should be able to get a lot of them. So
Exactly.
that's the big thing right now.
Okay,
So, and then the chamber has kind of 4 things going on. Number 1, get that kid born. And then the craft fair, which is November 5th, Saturday. Sherry and Lindsay are will be running it that day because hopefully Kelsey's gonna have a little baby. And then the pancake supper, December 7th. It's supposed to be 5 to 6:30, but somehow you always have to start as soon as the pancakes are done, so
Usually we start
at
at
4.
4:30, I think, isn't it more like 4:30?
Cooking at 4, yes.
Cooking up 4.
Serving.
Yeah.
But if it spreads out that big crowd, it's
It's
better,
better,
it's better.
yeah. And then, the Christmas show, still looking for, entertainment. They're just wanted to try something different, so Kelsey's looking around for different entertainment for the Christmas show.
and when is that?
It's not set up, decided yet,
Oh,
because still,
okay.
and I think that was,
Our punch cards are gonna be November 16th through January 2nd.
that's right. Forgot about that.
Okay.
And I think
What was
that's
the
about it in a nutshell.
November 16th through January 2nd. And then we'll do our holiday lighting contest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I was, when I read that, I was thinking of the Parade of Lights, but I'm sorry. So that's why I didn't mention. Okay,
Okay,
so that's it.
all right, well, thank you for that report.
Mhm.
Okay, the budget committee is made up of Rick and Stan. And Carolyn has put some information out in front of you. Stan or Rick, would you like to make comments on this?
I think Stan should make the comments.
Well, we've met numerous times, and so you have in front of you the expense budget and the revenue budget, along with the document that kind of puts it all together in one page. Just for clarification, it does not include industrial park, because that was done, will be basically 100% done in 2022. It will not include the Gloria Street or Hanson development, because that will be, may not all get completed in 2022, but it'll come out of 2022 budget. So it'll basically just include, as far as capital expenditures, the 5% that we have to pay towards the airport, which is 300 some thousand, and Echo Valley, which we're hoping total comes in at 2.4 million. And that portion, we are in the process of trying to acquire about a $1.5, $1.7 million loan. And then, of course, any money we get off the lots, we'll defray or make some of the payments on that. Echo Valley is also throwing in 100,000 at the time. You know, when construction starts, they'll put up 100,000. So, and obviously it's the 2.5 that kind of puts our budget a little bit upside down. So we'll have to, it's not that it puts us in bad shape, it just we'll use up a fair amount of our cash. So we need to be a little more cautious with our spending. So I guess if you have questions, you could go through it line by line, but it would be midnight before we even get close to done. So I would like to recommend we don't do that. If anybody has any questions, because you're not going to find the 2.4 million, it's all divided out between streets and water and sewer, so it's quite complicated. But Carolyn, you're better at it than me, at least kind of go through this one sheet for the council. And in the end, what it'll use of our cash is about 2.5 million.
Yeah, so this first part is actually the general fund. Halfway down of that sheet. And also the other side is general fund revenue that comes in to support the general fund expenses. Like we're projecting $1,200,000 for sales tax revenue. And the big chunk is that $5,496,300. That's the revenue that will be coming back from the airport project that we will get paid back on. And then down at the other bottom is what we call the enterprise funds. And so that gives you the expense and revenue for the fire department, the library, and the cemetery, and they balance on each side. There will be a little fund balance from the fire department that they will be spending from their cash on hand, library as well, and the cemetery too. But they all have a good cash on hand balance, so there's really no concern there. And then enterprise funds of the water, sewer, and garbage. And, again, they have, we have to offset those with general fund transfers on those as well. So it all balances except for that 2,574,000, but we will be, like you said, using a little bit of, or well, quite a little of our cash on hand, but we do have a fair amount, so we will hope for a good year.
And then also the 2022 budget, we're not going to be spending
Right.
near what we had proposed in that, because some of the projects just didn't get that far, so
Yeah, we were
that will all
expecting
help as well.
to use cash on hand in 2022, and that won't happen. I'll be working on the supplement budget probably for you to look at this next month, which basically is just reporting of the extra revenue that we had to support the expenses. And that's kind of like a paper trail, so to speak. So we've had more sales tax than we have projected, which I always project kind of low on sales tax because it's always nice when we get more. So yeah, we will not spend any cash on hand. All of the revenue will support the expenses that we went over in 2022, so.
So I would recommend the council go home tonight and work through this for hours and come up with some questions for Carolyn and stuff, or Rick, or and Mary.
But with
Really?
that-
You don't want us just to ask Carolyn all?
Would probably be best.
But with that being said as well, and I will be sending letters out to everybody that had budget requests. There were some extra budget requests for a higher amount, and this reflects everybody getting the same budget requests that they did in 2022.
Oh, yeah,
We won't be
that's-
increasing the budget requests.
And I guess also part of the reasoning for that is obviously the budget itself, but over the past 3-4 years, we've been pretty much more than generous when almost any requests we take them as they were, and so we just thought for this year we would just.
We aren't
status
taking
quo.
any funding away that they got this year, so I
Right.
think that's a good thing.
So the council should review this information, and then the first reading would actually be on November 3rd.
Yeah.
And the second reading would be November 17th, and then the first meeting in December, what happens there?
That's, I think, probably when I said it
At the
would
final
be,
end, right?
That,
well, nothing at the first meeting, so we have to have a first and second. This needs to be effective by December 31st, so we kind of need to stay on our timeline. If we can't do the second reading at the November 17th meeting, we probably need to have a special meeting so that we can stay on track with it being published and effective by December 20th
okay,
to be in compliance with state statute.
okay. All right, any questions on that part, Ken?
So Carolyn, to be on track, the effective date would be December 20th. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Like Stan said, take that home and study that. And then I wanted to take a moment and address some of the questions that were raised at the last meeting. As Stan has said, our budget is very tight, but the elephant in the room that it was, and we were quizzed pretty hard about at the last meeting, was our litigation with Loves. So I wanted to review that just as a piece of information, that most or several members of our community have accessed this, the same information that the council has in the finding of fact, the conclusion of law, and order of contempt. And in that document, the judge said that we had to have a hearing scheduled, which that's been scheduled for November 28th. And that Loves was to, those attorneys were to submit a daily loss of financial benefit since August 12th of 2021 and submit their attorney fees and costs. Our attorneys were asked to file objections to those facts and conclusion of law, and they did on September 23rd, which was exactly the day they were supposed to do that. So we were quizzed at the last meeting about whether we had it in the budget. Well, we have not received those numbers of the daily loss or the attorney fees to date, so none of that's in the budget. So that's the answer to that question. But because the budget will be reviewed again November 3rd and the 17th, if those numbers come along and if it's what the council determines, well, then that's when those items would be addressed. So I wanted to go back and answer that question that had been posed last time, and I did not have a very good answer. Also, as part of my report, I wanted to give a conference update. The South Dakota Municipal League, I and Carolyn attended that last week. Was that just last week? Or a week before? Boy, time's going fast. But anyway, the sessions that I attended was one on elected officials, so that was very good for me. One on South Dakota Housing, which Lorraine from South Dakota Housing Authority was there, and she gave a presentation. And again, announced that the grants weren't possible, but I visited with her afterwards about the loan that we have on file with them. And also another part of a session that I attended was from a gentleman who was a former Homeland Security agent and CIA and had spent time working for those entities in Mexico City as well as Spain. It was very sobering because it's just overwhelming when you had someone that was so close to what was really going on with the border and in Mexico and the stranglehold that cartels have on situations right now. So it's real, and his point was it's affecting every state. We might think we're a long ways from the Mexican border, but it's here anyway. So those were some highlights for me. I also want to congratulate Carolyn. She was elected second vice president of that organization. So as she moves up, there will be a day when Wall will be hosting which event is it called that?
It's a, one of our board meetings, we have four board meetings a month or a year. The first one is in February when they have the rib supper and the legislative, go to the Capitol and attend that. And then whoever is president, serving president that year, we have the second board meeting in June at the hosting town of who's president. And then, August at the conference, or October at the conference is when we have our third meeting, and then in December, we have our fourth meeting. So
Okay,
it's just one of our board meetings hosted by the president.
well, we'll look forward to that. And so congratulations again. It's always great to have Wall people in leadership positions in state associations, so we're proud of you for that. And the last thing, part of my report tonight is I and Jim Kitterman and Garrett attended the Pennington County Fireman Recognition Banquet on October 8th in Rapid. And Wall volunteers were recognized that night. Tyrell Clark was recognized for 5 years, Garrett for 15 years, Jeremy Hurdle for 25 years, Darwin Geigel for 35 years, and John Kitterman for 40. So if you see those gentlemen, tell them thank you, because that's a lot of years that they have been serving our fire department. And Garrett was nominated for Fireman of the Year and Officer of the Year, and I was very upset because he didn't get either one of those. He was so deserving, I will tell you. He should have been the one, but I just couldn't throw my weight around, I guess, and get that done. And they were very, very appreciative when Jim presented the check for $3,500 from us for their bank to put toward their banquet. They were surprised that we did that and very appreciative. So I want you to know, we did a great job of saying thank you for helping us with the Cactus fire and Duhamel. And then on Tuesday night, thank you, council members, for attending the new fire truck arrival from BLM. And it is going to be a great asset, and the price was right, that's for sure. So Garrett, have you got a place to park that truck?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we have it inside,
Yep, it's inside.
in
That
the,
was a rumor going around that we didn't have room for it, but no, it's inside, right behind the green truck at the fire hall, so.
okay, so anyway, that was a great event also. So fire department has done a great job very recently. Okay, that concludes my report unless there's any other questions. So that would move us to the finance officer report then. Carolyn.
Well, I was gonna give an update on the things I attended at the conference. The Department of Revenue had a speaker on reporting sales tax online, which I currently do, but they showed us some features that we can do that I just do what I do and didn't know and check into these new features. So that was kind of eye-opening. And then Rod Horton, who's with the legislative audit, he gave us information on the ARPA fund reporting that we'll need to report again in April, I believe, April 15th is when that, for that second half, which, by the way, we did receive the funding, but we still have to do the reporting. And then we received recognition with the bronze level for the loss control and safety benefits through the pool insurance, South Dakota Public Insurance Alliance, and the workman's comp at the luncheon on Wednesday, which Mary hadn't gotten there yet, but I submit for it. There's a form you fill out and you have to meet the requirements, and I think we've been getting it for the last 15 years maybe. So we just continue to do things right and we keep receiving the award, which is nice. And that is it. I was going to cover the speaker as well, but Mary already covered that, so it was a very good speaker that attended. It was eye-opening for sure. So, and then I don't know if you are aware, the First Interstate Bank does a volunteer day. The last couple of years they've done it. This year they went up to the park and they stained the park benches and kind of did some, what else did they do up there? Was it just
Spend some railing.
and stuff? Well, Hope Dennis, she submitted a grant through the First Interstate Bank and she received it, and it was $200 that was given to the city to help with the supplies that we had to spend for that. So got this check in the mail and like, where's $200 for? Come to find out she had submitted the grant and we received it. So it's very nice of her to do. And that's all that I have.
And they did that right before the appreciation supper.
Oh, okay.
And so the tables all look, am I right about that, Garrett? So the tables just look really nice. The whole park did. Thank you, Garrett, for taking care of it all summer long. And then they came in and did the final touches on that and made it very, very nice. So, okay. Thank you to them and thank you to Hope for submitting a grant and getting us money to cover the stain. So very good. Okay, Garrett, Public Works report.
We talked about the curb stop at the last meeting about 201 Glen Street, and we got that repaired and ready to go right away. And Trevor, he took down the little library over at the library and he redid the staining and put a new roof on it, so it looks really nice. I don't know. Linda, have you noticed it?
Oh my gosh, it's
Look good?
amazing.
Good.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
thank you for it.
Yeah, I took Trevor and I said, go ahead and fix it, and so he got shingles and made some shingle roof on it, so it looks really good. Then pretty much I've been working with Dana on the street improvement stuff and getting the grass seed all rounded up for out at the industrial park and getting with Dana for the trenching of electricity out there and stuff, so been pretty busy with that stuff, and we'll soon start winterizing all the sprinklers and pool and all that stuff too, so. Then one other question I have, and I don't know what we can do about it, but we have a big garbage can up at the park and they dump it and it's full like days later. It's not people using the park, it's household garbage. Same way with the garbage can. I mean, it is overflowing. I don't know where it's coming from or anything, but then I just.
You know, any of those garbage cans or dumpsters that are clear out, we had one at the Dinosaur. And yeah, they just get filled up and it's really people not, it's not really the traveling public, a little teeny bit, but.
Yeah, it's like, one day it was not full, but there was a lot of like baling twine. Just, well, like they had taken off and put it into a bag, like a cat food bag, and threw it away, but. So I pulled the one from the park. And we went up there today to work on stuff and noticed that the people that are walking their dogs are leaving the bags by the stand. So I'm gonna talk to Gary and see if we can get a smaller green tote up there to help solve that issue or help with that. so.
Yeah, because like on the boulevard, you have those nice bag stations, and then there's garbage cans all over. I mean, that's really nice. For dogs.
I don't know if we have an extra one of those cans, but maybe maybe put one of those cans over there. But it's just like, and I've been watching it and it's 2 days after,
Even this time of year.
even this way, yeah, it's completely full. So I don't know if we just keep dumping it or try and figure out something to do. Or I just don't know.
Well, yeah, and it's not really trash from in town. I take it from what you're
No,
saying.
yeah. So just something to think about.
Is there a way to identify where that trash might be coming? You know, we could just send them a, please don't bring your baling twine to town.
Yeah, I mean,
Letter?
we'd have to break, a lot of time people have their mail in there and you can look in there. and
Get their address.
I've got quite a few people at the rubble site throwing trash out.
Is that not gonna work, Mike? Is that why you're gone?
No, it just amazes me we have this problem. I mean, I would rather it be in the container, because I have a feeling if we move the container, it's just gonna be on the ground.
Yeah.
But if you, like, we had to lock our big containers at the station, and then we took the one from the dinosaur, and it kind of eliminated, we weren't taking care of other people's garbage, we were taking care of our own and our customers, so it is effective. I don't like the idea about going through the trash and
No.
giving
I'm
everything.
not too excited about that.
That's a
either.
little.
You guys to do it.
You don't want to be the guy doing it.
But and it's like that, even in the summertime, that dumpster it just seems like it's just started. It was never that, like in the summertime, it's pretty full by the end of the week, but the next day after they dump it, it's full.
Do you have the ability to dump it?
I don't, but I call Gary and every time,
Every day he has to.
So even it doesn't fill up that fast in the summer.
Not usually, normally, there is some, and I notice some household garbage in there in the summertime, but I don't know, somebody's cleaning out their shed or something, or.
Well, for sure, dump it, because they'll just be blown all over town. But I saw tonight when I pulled up, I know.
We get some, the elevator in this country. I mean, you'll see them just pull up out there in the daytime, stop and
Yeah,
throw a bag in.
well, and there was a wedding here too, I forgot about that too, so that's probably why it's piled so high.
Oh, okay,
Why it's so high, but it was,
we'll blame
It
the
was-
wedding.
something. But
I
I'll look
think that's a
into it.
pretty big wedding too.
What's that?
That was a pretty big wedding too.
Was it? So, but no, like Gary and I have been talking about it for the last month and noticed that how full everything was.
Okay, well, use your best judgment, because obviously we haven't come up with any sparkling idea, or you didn't like the sparkling idea.
No, I don't like digging through trash again,
Well, okay, all right.
unless there's good stuff.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, so are there any items for discussion? No action will be taken. Item 20. Okay, that moves us to the next council meeting, which will be November 3rd at 6:30. And Attorney Trask, do you have any report at this time?
I could do a little in executive session. that's it.
Okay, all right. So with that being said, would I have a motion to move into executive session then?
I make a motion, we go into executive session for the purpose of discussing marketing, legal, personnel issues according to SDCL 1-25-2.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, Mike has seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay, I am going to declare that we are out of, the Wall City Council is out of executive session. And we will move on to item number 24, which is to approve the plat. Do I have a motion to approve the said plat?
So move.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the plat. All those in, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, with that being said, then, item number 25, transferring land to Wall Economic Development. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion that we transfer the land to economic development, the quick claim deed.
Okay, is there a second for that motion?
Second.
It's been made and seconded to transfer land to Wall Economic Development. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Is there any other business that needs to be addressed by this body tonight? Hearing none, I declare the meeting adjourned.